So, Michael Myers, the character, was obviously inspired by some things by John Carpenter. Funny enough, to me, the thing that is most similar to Michael Myers, John Carpenter has never brought up. He's never brought up Stanley Stiers. But before we talk about that, let's get right into the story of Stanley Stiers. All right, so I am reading this article from hiddenremote.com. It is written by Rachel Roth. It says, Michael Myers, the face of the Halloween franchise, may be a work of fiction, but he was inspired by urban legends and a couple of real-life serial killers, Stanley Stiers and Ed Kemper. So this is an urban legend to some, and to others they swear up and down that this is a true story. However, there is no record of this, so we don't know if it was an urban legend or an actual true story. It happened all the way back in 1912, so it's hard to say, you know?
1912?
Yes.
I didn't realize the story was going to be so old.
Yes, very, very old. Unlike Kemper, Stanley Stiers' story is a mysterious one that started in tragedy. In 1912, two baby boys were born in the same hospital on the same day. One belonged to the Stiers family, who were thrilled with their newborn baby, and another belonged to an unnamed family, who were also happy with their precious boy. However, unbeknownst to them, there was a malevolent nurse working in the nursery who swapped the babies for fun. The two unsuspecting families took the wrong children home. But on the way home from the hospital, the unnamed family was in a car accident. The entire family, including the real Stiers baby, was killed. By the time the Stiers learned the truth, it was too late and their son was dead. In their minds, there was only one way to handle the situation, and that was taking it out on the imposter. The Stiers couldn't see Stanley as anything other than a boy who wasn't theirs, and began to resent the mere sight of him. They became violent alcoholics and began abusing the boy, locking him in his room and punishing him for no reason. The couple then had another baby, a girl named Susie, who became their pride and joy. She was their little sunshine, as opposed to Stanley, their little shadow. Susie picked up the favoritism and began to treat Stanley poorly as well, often physically abusing him. I think we can all see that this story isn't going to end well. And October 30th, 1923, it didn't.
So it was like around Halloween as well.
Yes. Stanley was 11 years old, and all he wanted to do was go trick-or-treating. As expected, he was denied, and his sister got to go to a Halloween party while he stayed home. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. Seeing his sister getting all the love and attention he never got, and able to enjoy this simple holiday unlike him, is what finally broke him. When Susie got home, Stanley got a butcher knife and stabbed her repeatedly. He then killed his parents while they slept, and even attacked the family dog. The next day, on October 31st, he went trick-or-treating for the first time and continued his massacre. That night, when he spotted the bullies who made his life as miserable at school as it was at home, he killed as many as he could. He even went into one of their houses and murdered their entire family. By the time the cops came, he was supposedly smiling on a swing set and cheerfully eating his candy. He was taken to a private psychiatric institution where he was studied for the next 13 years. This is where the somewhat believable part of the story ends. The rest of Stanley's story is strange. What's even more strange is there's no record of him. Rumor is the government covered it up. Why would they bother doing such a thing? Maybe that's a question better left unanswered if you want to believe that this story is 100% true. Apparently, the facility wanted to know what would make a boy snap as he had, and what gave a pre-adolescent child the strength to kill so many people. They looked for everything, even paranormal factors, but found nothing. 13 years after that fateful Halloween, on October 31st, 1936, Stanley was 24 years old and stood at a staggering 6 foot 4 inches tall. A couple of hospital orderlies started harassing him. They must have been morons. And Stanley snapped their necks. He then went right out of the hospital like it was no big deal. The cops met him in the parking lot where he was hit with several bullets but kept on walking. Some stories proclaim that he possessed unnatural strength and that he killed some federal agents by throwing a car at them. Some claimed he felt no pain and that the agents were killed the moment Stanley got his hands on them. So that is the story of Stanley Stiers.
A lot of the first half really did have like moments in Halloween the movie.
Yes. So the funny thing is, like I mentioned before, John Carpenter has never brought up Stanley Stiers.
So, how did you find the link between the two? Like, other people are like, this is really similar, or?
Yes, this is the article has all of the things that inspired Michael Myers, and then they also put in Stanley Stiers because it's such a debated topic. Mm-hmm. So, like, Ed Kemper, the real serial killer, inspired him for real. There was also the story of a 12-year-old boy who was in a mental institution who John Carpenter was visiting this mental institution and saw him and said that his blank stare like creeped him out. And he said he looked like he had like the devil in his eyes, which is why in the movie they gave, they're like, you look into that boy's eyes and there's nothing but the devil.
The devil's eyes.
He never brings up Stanley Stiers. One of the things that people debate is that Stanley Stiers was a legend created after Halloween came out. Oh. And that they were trying to pass it off as this is the inspiration to get attention,
Yeah, I guess that could be true.
Which is fun. You would think John Carpenter would mention, especially with the names being so similar. Stanley Stiers, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
I kind of believe that it was like someone created this legend after Halloween and is trying to pass it off like this is the real life inspiration. This is the real life Michael Myers.
Maybe so. Well, that's crazy how they were able to kind of get that going, I guess, for the time frame. So Halloween was kind of like based in a lot of urban legend, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if Stanley Stiers is a real urban legend.
Yeah, they actually mention it towards the end of the article. It says the inspirations from Kemper and Stiers have never been confirmed by Carpenter. So even Kemper has never been confirmed. But fans have taken it upon themselves to connect the dots. Whenever questioned, Carpenter usually admits that a lot of things went into making Michael Myers, including urban legends and real-life psychopaths. The differences between Myers and Stiers are almost non-existent. They might as well be the same person. There is no existing record of anyone named Stanley Stiers, so it's impossible to tell. Ed Kemper is a real man, that much is definite, and there are clear similarities between Myers and him. Both started killing at a young age, wanted to harm their sisters, both grew to be of huge body size and had evil eyes. Kemper was an awkward young man and grew to be a reserved older man, at least in conversation. He was called charming and polite by his arresting officers, but Kemper was never much of a talker. He only targeted women he was attracted to, who he killed because he knew they wouldn't ever date him.
Gross.
Though Myers never shows any sexual attraction towards the women he murders in the first Halloween film, he tends to primarily target young females the same age as his sister when he killed her. Halloween starts off with Judith Myers getting fondled by her boyfriend on the couch before they go upstairs and have sex. Michael waits until the boyfriend leaves before entering his sister's room and killing her while she's sitting topless in front of her dresser. The film portrays Michael as an emotionless child who kills his sister because he's evil, but him waiting to kill her after she has sex and to do it while she's topless does say something.
Yeah,
Later,
I always thought that part was a little weird.
Yeah.
And then he does end up killing one of his third victim or fourth. She was naked after having sex.
Yeah. Something's going on.